Scream 2022 is the new reboot, I guess? Soft reboot, but sequel at the same time to the original Wes Craven Scream. Now, this one we follow another group of people who are getting terrorized by Ghostface. Can they find out who the killer is? Is it close to them? Is it not? Is it someone else? What are their motives? I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts on this Scream movie. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of Scream? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Smash it down below. Smash that like button for me and click subscribe. And without further ado, let's jump to this review of Scream 2022.
It's an honor.
Okay, so the new Scream. I have never been the biggest Scream fan. I have watched them before, only once. Yeah, I've never gone back to rewatch them because they just never had the interest and never really captured me like Halloween did, like Nightmare did, like Friday the 13th did. The Scream movies just never really grasped me into their world and made me care about characters or anything about the stories or anything like that. Why they were clever and funny at the time. Does this one now live up to those ones? And does this live up to, say for instance, like the Halloween soft reboot that they did? Does it live up to that hype where it's as good as the original? Now, I just want to let you guys know that this is my opinion. This is my opinion on the movie. So you guys are going to have your own. So I would say go watch it. Formulate your own opinion. Because mine is not always the gospel. It never was the gospel. But some people make it seem like it is. But it's not. It's just my opinion on this movie. I personally didn't like this Scream movie. I really didn't. I thought there are a lot of things wrong with this movie that took me out of the film quite a lot throughout the whole entire film, where I was sitting there and I was kind of like scratching my head going, how does that work? Well, why? That makes no sense. There was a laughable moment as well where I was just laughing, chuckling on the inside like, really? Did they really just do that? So there is some good things about this film as well. I'm not going to say it's absolute terrible, like absolute crap, pile garbage. There are some redeemable qualities in this film. Firstly, the kills, they're alright. They're nothing like massive to like, you know, be like, oh my god, you gotta see the kills in this movie. There is one really brutal kill in this movie that was like, wow, okay then, that's pretty brutal. Like, I could feel it. I could feel the pain in the character, which was good. I thought that was good. Some of the other kills were decent as well. Were they creative? Yeah, to a degree. I do get some of them were very creative. Like that one that they did do with the one that I'm talking about where I was feeling it was very creative. I didn't expect to see that. But when I think back to it, it doesn't make any sense to how that happened. But hey, okay, we'll get into that just a little bit more, why it didn't make sense. Now, as for the story, obviously they're bringing back legacy characters, as you do with these things. We've seen it with Halloween, we've seen it with other movies. When they're trying to do a soft reboot, like Ghostbusters and stuff like that, what they do is they have these new characters that are related to the legacy characters, our older characters from the original. They bring them back. So the story is... I guess the story I'm sorry, okay, I'm going to say it. The story doesn't make sense to me because of the motive of Ghostface in this movie. The motive of Ghostface does not make any freaking sense to me. It was laughable. I'm sorry. It was absolutely laughable. You're really doing all this. You're doing all this killing over that? Really? You actually that like that? And I'm just sitting there, I'm kind of like, come on, man. Really? You couldn't have come up with something better than that? That is just so lazy and so dumb that it just doesn't work at all. And when you tie in everything, when all the reveals are done, who is Ghostface, what's happening, it is very predictable. I predicted who Ghostface was pretty early on in this movie. I was like, okay, it's pretty obvious who it is. And it turned out, yes, it was that. It made no sense. It makes no sense at all to why they are, but they are. And I'm just sitting there, I'm kind of like, what the fuck? Like, really? We're really dropping the ball here in this ending. We are dropping it completely. Now, one of the reasons why I don't think that particular kill works is because of who Ghostface is. When you see the reveal of who Ghostface is, you start to question how Ghostface was able to do all these miraculous things with strength, with beating people and stuff like that. I'm sitting there, I'm kind of like, well, that wouldn't happen. Like, this is who Ghostface is. How were they able to lift a freaking full-grown man up with 2 blades? And I'm just sitting there scratching my head because it doesn't make sense. And there's scenes where Ghostface is clearly a lot taller than the characters that they're killing, yet when you see who Ghostface is, they're not actually taller than them. And I'm kind of sitting there like, well, it can't be, it can't be something like this. Like, it's this person. It clearly is, because this person and this other person and this person and this person are all with other people. So it can't be any of them. It has to be this person who is Ghostface. So how can that work when they're taller? But they're not. So there's a lot of things like that took me out of the film, where I'm kind of like, really? Then there is this one moment where they call the cops, basically. So she calls the cops and tells, like, I need all these units around my house. They don't even show up. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're, like, doing that, wouldn't there be someone that would show up? And, like, there's a big time frame where they don't show up for, like, a good 5 minutes. I'm, like, kind of like, really? We're going to do that? And then there's certain things that don't add up time-wise. There is a moment where this killing happens. Ghostface kills someone in broad daylight. It's, like, in the middle of the freaking day. And then they're driving to get out and stuff like that. And it's now dark. All of a sudden, it's just pitch black. And I'm kind of like, I don't think the town is that freaking big that it takes you that long to get out of town like that. Like, it doesn't take you, like, freaking 6 hours or something like that to get out. Like, it's just, there's so many things that were just lazy writing that didn't make sense, that kind of really took me out of the feel. Like, when Ghostface is killing people in broad daylight, there's no one there to see it. In the hospital, there's no one in the hospital. I'm sorry. What is with this trope in horror films where there's like a killing in the hospital and there's no one in the hospital? There's no one there. I'm sorry, it's a freaking hospital. There's going to be people everywhere. But apparently there isn't. There's just so many things that don't add up, that don't work. There's a lot of references to Halloween itself and other films as well, and other horror films. They really do refer to a lot of that in this movie. There is a particular scene where it was funny, but I get why they did it, where she's watching a horror movie and the same thing happens to her while watching it. I was like, okay. But the characters I didn't really care for. I'm sorry, I just didn't care for the characters. I really did not. Like, there's a few of them that I just kind of couldn't stand. And I was like, kind of like rooting for Ghostface to kill him. But there's just so many things that just don't work in this movie. Story-wise, character-wise, motives. It just all didn't work. There's twists and reveals that you kind of scratch your head and go, oh, okay, so we're tying it in like that. Like, it just didn't work as a soft reboot like the Halloween did. I love that Halloween movie of 2018. I thought that worked really, really well. And it all makes sense. This one, I kind of don't think makes sense. It just, I don't know why they chose to do it this route. I don't know. And as when they brought the legacy actors back, I really like Dewey. Dewey was probably my favorite character in this. I really liked his story and the way that, but they didn't expound upon his story of what happened to him afterwards. Like, they didn't really dive into that and what happened with the other two legacy characters that they brought back. Why didn't they explore that relationship and how it broke down and stuff like? They just give you a quick line and then it's kind of like, okay, so what now? But Dewey was the only one that I cared about. It really was. And as for the other ones, I mean, I'm sorry, Courtney Cox comes back, and I don't know if it's just all the work she's had done on her face, or if she just didn't care, because her acting was very wooden, and I felt like there was no emotion on her face when she was acting. And I kind of was just like, okay, she's phoning it in. And then there's a moment in the final battle where characters get stabbed right through the guts and stuff like that, and they're on the ground, like, basically on their last limb, on their last life. Like, they are dying right here. And then next thing you know, they're just standing up, like, casually having a talk as if nothing just happened to them. Like, they're not bleeding out or anything like that. I'm like, what is going on here? This just makes no sense whatsoever. But, yeah. It does have its redeeming qualities. Like, there is some cool kills in here. I'm not going to lie, there are some cool kills. But yeah, overall, I didn't enjoy Scream. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you guys are a hardcore Scream fan, I want to know if you guys like this movie a lot more, because you might like it if you're a huge Scream fan. You might enjoy this movie a lot more than I did. I just didn't think it was that, anything to write home about. But that's just me. That's my opinion. I want to hear your guys. I want to have a discussion. Smash it down below. Smash that like button for me and click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.